Welcome back to another episode of the New Era Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Tommy, here with my longtime friend, Logan. This episode, we are doing a top 5 Star Wars ships, and we are also breaking down episodes 9 and 10 of The Bad Batch. Now, we know it's not too great, but we're going to leave that for the second half of the episode. So even if you haven't seen it, you can still listen in and participate with the first half, where we give our top 5 Star Wars ships. So, of course, comment along what your favorites are and all that good stuff. If you enjoy the episode, it would be really awesome if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're doing Bad Batch breakdowns, Loki breakdowns. We're going to be having a Black Widow breakdown coming out. So, we talk about all things Marvel and Star Wars and nerd culture on this podcast. So it's obviously with these two platforms, we got a ton of stuff coming out. Also, we're still doing the YouTube $50 gift card giveaway at 50 subscribers. All you have to do is hit subscribe, like this video, comment done, and one other part of the video that you liked. Super easy to enter. It's free to subscribe, and you can always unsubscribe later. So make sure to hit that button and enter that contest. You might get $50. With that all being said, let's just get right into it. Star Wars, obviously, they have a lot of iconic characters, iconic ships. But before we get into the ships, I want to talk one second about an iconic character. If you listen to this podcast, you watch this podcast, you know it's my favorite character. And I don't think I showed it on the last episode, Logan, did I?
I don't think so.
I did not. So, without further ado, there it is. Oh, yeah. The love of the game, the love of my man, Boba. Still healing up a little bit, but I like it a lot. So
looks awesome.
I'm dedicated to the nerd game out here. I really am.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I have to get. I mean, obviously, you guys have seen these before on the channel, but I don't have any nerdy tattoos. So I guess to keep up, I gotta get something.
Don't flag us.
Yeah, it's not beer. We don't drink beer here. Yeah, I mean, of all the tattoos I have, none of them are nerdy. So I guess I gotta step up.
Maybe we even let me give you the Star Wars tattoo, depending on what it is.
Well, as some of our audience, our close friends and audience might know, Tommy has given me, he has done some artwork, and Tommy is forever imprinted on my body in a region that not many people see, and
you can't show it on YouTube.
But if you really want to see it, go piss in the wind, because I'm not going to show you.
If we get 100 subscribers in the next week, we'll put it on Instagram.
Absolutely. So you heard that. Tell your friends. We're at the top of the episode. You haven't turned this off yet. Go tell your friends. 100 subscribers, and we will drop Henny's artwork on my body in an undisclosed location on our Instagram.
All right, awesome. I just wanted to share that with everybody. I do it for you guys. Just know that I got that to do for the audience.
Absolutely.
Not for myself. All right, top 5 ships. Let's start at the bottom again, because obviously we're going to get into some pretty iconic ships here. Let's start with our 5 and work our way up. And Logan, feel free to take us away.
Okay, so my number 5 is the Executor. Just a classic. I got.
You want to do a screen share and just pull these up for the people watching?
Absolutely.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Follow along. Again, comment what your top 5 ships are, or your favorite ship. I have a feeling a lot of people might have the same one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this is a classic. Here we go. We've got, the Executor. Looks a pretty badass form in here. Kind of the arrowhead shaped, design. Always thought it was super cool. Always thought that, the Executor dreadnoughts always looked really cool. Always think that, I think the big starships have always looked the coolest, although they leave my top 5 after this. This is the only big ship I have, or dreadnought that I have in my
Okay.
top 5, but think it's
You're
super
dipping
cool.
back into your classic well of I hate the sequels, but I absolutely objectively love all of the elements of it.
Dude, all the materialistic elements of those movies are amazing. They are, but I just cannot get into the movies. And Brennan and I were just having this conversation, and he said they're entertaining movies, and I'm like, not if you like Star Wars. So,
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
okay, number 5 for you. What do you got?
All right. Well, I am going with the all-time iconic, and you know what? This might even be a little controversial. Some people may not view it as a ship,
Okay,
but I'm picking the Death Star.
the Death Star.
I'm
Okay.
picking the Death Star.
And actually, yeah, that was in our conversation when we were discussing what our top 5s were going to be and what they could be. So
Yeah,
go
for those
ahead.
of you that don't know what the Death Star is.
Here's a picture of it.
Yep.
So
yeah, so obviously the Empire's flying space station that flies around to different systems and totally obliterates planets. All-time iconic thing of Star Wars. Oh, nice, very nice. Honestly, I'd probably have it higher. It's so cool. I love playing on it in all like the Battlefront games and things like that.
Yeah.
The inside is so cool. It just has that classic Empire aesthetic inside of it. But it's my number 5 because, well, it got blown up twice. So, it would be higher on my list, but durability is a factor. So.
Well, and they sell it. It's a Titanic, they sell it as the unsinkable ship. You know what I mean? So, and it sinks twice. So
exactly.
What's the deal with that?
The Titanic only sank once.
Okay, so without further ado, then I guess we will get into my number 4, which, like I said, hold on, I accidentally spelled wing wrong. It is Dutch's Y-wing. So I tried to keep it.
You want specific?
Well, I tried to keep it not very specific. I did get 2 of mine are kind of specific, but this is what pretty much every Y-wing ever looked like. But it's the class. I always thought the whole like it kind of looks like the San Antonio Spurs logo for no reason. Just always thought it was cool. I think I had this actual Lego set when I was a kid. If this isn't the new one, I think they've released a new one recently. But I had it I can't remember what age I was, but yeah, I always thought they looked super cool. And yeah, that was not much thought went into that one.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I also always love the Rebel pilot uniforms, the orange jumpsuit, and
absolutely
then the drop downs after it. Yeah, that's just an awesome suit. So, all right, my number 4 then is going to be, and I also got a little specific with this one.
Right on.
And then I'll get a little more, since you did that specific one, I'll do it on another one too. So my number 4 then is going to be Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. It was quite modified from the original TIE Fighter. Obviously they had the straight up wings. This one had the bent in wings.
Man, that thing is bad.
Just a slight modification on it. Was super, super cool in A New Hope when he's got that flying formation. Yeah, I mean it just looks awesome.
That thing is mean.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
there's something about those curved wings on it.
Oh yeah, this was definitely on my list, and I'm glad that we can agree on that. Just something about it definitely does something for me, and I'm glad to know that it does something for you too. Okay, so my number 3 is the original, because I guess there were two marks of this, but my favorite is the RZ-1 A-wing. So I guess there were 2. There was a mock. There was so here we go. We've got 3 different ones. So we've got the R22, the RZ-1, and the R2s. RZ2s. My favorites were this was the more classic look in my opinion, even though I guess this one may have came first. But always dug the RZ-1. Who flew it? I couldn't find it. Who famously flew one?
I don't know if anyone famously did. I know they were loosely based off of the old Episode 2 Jedi Starfighters.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if anyone like
Okay,
in the
cool.
originals actually flew it. I know they mention it and you can see them in the backgrounds and
Right.
stuff.
Glad I'm not going crazy then. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, they definitely have that like classic
Right.
spaceship, like flying personal ship vibe to them,
Yeah.
versus what a lot of these have as like a clearly like that's a Star Wars ship. That one
Oh,
looks like a spaceship that you could put into like any
oh,
sci-fi
absolutely.
movie and it plays.
It would go fine in Gundam. I mean, you could put that in a Gundam, in a Gundam movie or show. It would look awesome. But yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
that's numero trace. Yeah. Ooh, Spanish
nice,
needs
very
brushing on.
nice. So my number two, since you went specific with your Y wing, I will go specific with my X wing and say pose.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
love
Okay.
the X-wing, but Pose in the sequels with just the black coloration with the orange accents to it
Mm,
was absolutely fire.
orange and blue, baby.
It
Hold
made it
on,
look
I'll
so
pull
much.
that up.
It just gave it that facelift that it needed. Obviously, the X-wing being all-time iconic ship from the original trilogy. They didn't really incorporate any of it into the prequels, but then gladly and luckily brought it into the sequels. I mean, look at that. That is so clean.
That is
And in the
mean.
movies, obviously, Poe being an incredible pilot just made it that much cooler. Yeah,
Ugh,
it's my number two.
yucky. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even, well, and I wanted to have an X-wing, but I don't know. I just didn't mind, an X-wing didn't make the cut for me.
See, I love that
Um,
because the Y Wing, I wanted to put it on just for the iconicness, but it just didn't make my cut. So
right,
there we go.
right. Well, okay. I just lied to you. Here's my number two. It was Vader's TIE fighter was my number two, but I'm gonna change it to Luke Skywalker's Red 5 X-Wing fighter. Super badass. Always thought, because he kind of like, similar to Pose, it's a little different than the classic orange and red or orange and gray. Red, blue, yellow accents, super dope. I always One thing I've always thought was cool about Star Wars ships was their ability to look old and beaten up. Like every single one of their ships just kind of looks like it's, especially on the side of the like the rebel side, and it I thought they've always looked good. They've always looked a little antiquated, and that's just kind of
Yeah.
how the good guys fight, is with equipment that isn't always the best.
Yeah. Awesome. Logan, I'm going to shock the audience here.
Okay.
There's a lot of ways that this number one pick could go.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if you thought I would pick this, being that I just permanently inked him onto my body,
Yeah.
the Slave One. That's my number one. That's my number one honorable mention. Now, I could also pick the other very obvious pick, his rival, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pick a major, major underdog that
Okay.
I think gets slept on a lot, but it is serviceable, it is durable, and it pulled through in one of the all-time most clutch moments of all time.
Okay.
And that's going to be the snow speeder in episode 5.
Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah. What a shot.
Yeah,
What a ball. That's a hell of a
yep.
ball.
I pulled up 2 seconds left from half court.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool ass ship. And that's
Thank
what
you.
took down the AT I always get them backwards.
AT-ATs, yeah.
AT-AT. Okay, so that's what.
Yeah, or if you want to be a psychopath, the at.
Yeah. Atst. You've got the ATST. I always get the ATST and the ATATs confused.
Dude,
It's because,
if these snow speeders didn't have that harpoon,
right.
the rebels would have been wiped out. They wouldn't have been able to evacuate Hoth. So, the battle might not have been a victory, but there was a mini victory because of these very rusty, beat up snow speeders.
And
And they don't look like anything I've ever seen ever. They kind of just look like flying tanks without wheels. So,
but they're quick.
I don't
They're
know.
super quick and little agile. It's
Yeah,
they're pesky little ships, as we saw in episode 5. But yeah, awesome pick. Awesome pick. I love that. Okay, so my number one is the hold on. It is the Naboo N1.
Ooh.
Clone Wars, or Attack of the Clones, I mean, super dope.
I think
Always,
Clone Wars a little bit too.
yes, because Padme flew one, and this is what hers looked like. Super
Yep.
sick, all silver. I had this as an ornament as a kid. It was one of my first like pieces of Star Wars memorabilia, and I
Yeah.
used to play with it all the time. I had because my movie growing up, I had two movies that I watched, and it was Jurassic Park and Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. So I've always had kind of an affinity for the artwork that went into Attack of the Clones. Always thought that the scenes and the way the movie was filmed and just all of the different artworks, like these planes, it's just, I think it's quintessential to Attack of the Clones. So yeah, I super dope, really fun. I like how they look backwards.
They do.
But yeah,
They
that's
do.
numero uno.
Awesome. I love that pick. I love that we both had like very weird and obscure number one picks where I called it the obvious choice all this time because I wasn't sure if you had Millennium Falcon as your number one. Like
No,
obviously,
it's got
obviously
its place.
all-time iconic ship, but this could be a topic for another quick video, maybe a discussion, but is it overrated?
Could it be? Could it be? Could it be the people flying it that made it so cool? I don't know.
Oh, I would even argue that it's not a ship, Logan. It is a character in its own.
And that is a brilliant point, because it does have personality like characteristics. It definitely is it's definitely so much of a facet of the movies that you're right, it could be considered a character of the movies itself.
And that is why I did not make my top five Star Wars ships because it's not a ship, it's a character.
It's a character, but that's for another day. Ket chat. We'll talk about it. Leave in the comments below, ship or character.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. If you're still following along, please let us know your top ship, your top ships, even if you want. Let us know what you thought of our top five of our very obscure number one. But yeah, awesome. I'm glad that was a fun one. That was definitely a fun one. Now we can get into the nitty-gritty of the Star Wars The Bad Batch episode 9 and 10 breakdown, which obviously I think everyone can agree that one of these episodes significantly outweighs the other and is not it is not the episode that came out most recently.
Right. Right. But I one thing that I read online, and one thing that was kind of a positive takeaway from it, because I do want to put a positive spin on it. It wasn't my favorite episode. Um, it obviously was the filler episode, and those of you who watch, who know anime, you know that filler episodes are a huge thing. So it just kind of felt like that, with just there wasn't a ton there. It was a lot of it was a somewhat of an information dump. We got some little tidbits here and there, but other than that, it was a break. We got a break from the drama of the last three episodes, and
Correct.
I feel like it was needed. So that's my positive spin on it. What
Okay.
do you think?
Yeah, so pretty much obviously episode 10, and we'll go into episode 9 a lot more. We're going to do episode 10 first just because it was so filler and it doesn't seem as significant. So we'll just go over it really quickly, and then we'll get into some pretty cool details of episode 9, which there's a million.
Right.
My biggest thing, so obviously clones, they're doing a simple extract mission, rescue mission for the senator who disobeyed the Empire, spoke out against them, whatever. And then Omega is back with Sid, finds out has great like intuition, great strategy, just natural strategy gifts. And she starts playing the classic Dejarik game that we see on the Millennium Falcon. It's this classic board game in Star Wars that you always see them playing. It looks like virtual chess. And, she makes a bunch of money gambling and playing this and then pays off their debt. That's really all the episode was. Big filler episode. What I will say is that we have finally, and my biggest positive takeaway from this is that there is no more footage from the trailer of the show left. all the trailer footage is gone.
That's a
So
great
now
point.
we have no clues or no peeks and no Easter eggs of what might be coming in these last 4 episodes. And because it's only 4 episodes left, it's pretty significant that 10 is the filler, which means we probably will get a pretty awesome, action-packed, awesome story-moving last 4 episodes.
Right.
So that's my biggest positive from this.
Well, and one thing, actually, it's kind of it's kind of just like a fun little, a fun little thought about Avi Singh, Avi, the the senator who disobeyed Palpatine. Was he possibly one of the senators that did not make it, kind of like a unanimous decision to put Palpatine in charge? Could he still, because we see in the episode, he kind of has like this change of heart, but I've been kind of reading and, signs are kind of pointing to he was never really down for it to begin with, because if you see
Right.
all of his people are not down with it there, hey,
Right.
no, we don't want,
Yeah.
we don't want the Empire coming in here and screwing up,
Yeah.
everything that we've had going for the last X amount of years. So, I mean, speak on that a little bit. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, no, actually, you are 100% right. He was actually one of the senators who signed the Order of the 2000 or Allegiance of the 2000. It's
Right
called a
on.
couple different things, but essentially it was formed by Padme, Senator Organa,
Right.
and Mon Mothma in episode 3, off screen a little bit. It's canon though. It was the 2000
Oh, okay. Yeah.
senators that went forward during episode 3 before the Empire rose. So while Palpatine was still the Supreme Chancellor, these 2,000 senators created a petition, and essentially it said, "Hey, you've been in power way too long. It's about time you hand over your emergency powers, and we get a new senator or a new chancellor." Essentially, exactly what the Jedi were saying. Like, dude, you've been in office way too long.
Right.
There's something fishy going on here. A lot of senators were actually starting to think that way too. Now, unfortunately, it kind of gave Emperor Palpatine a huge advantage and showed him every single senator that would be against him and against the Empire. So he pretty much just went on a mission of either they abide or you get arrested or killed. So
Hitler.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
so
and
you were actually right
know,
on with that.
Okay, and we do know. I mean, we see that in Star Wars we get a lot of like Nazi vibes, from a lot of. I just always have thought that's really cool how
always
they
been a
kind
classic
of
inspiration.
Right, and especially I think I want to say it was what could it have been, The Last Jedi, or was it The Force Awakens? That scene. I don't think it's on Hoth, but it's definitely a snowy planet.
It might be The Last Jedi.
Could it be The Last Jedi? Always thought that scene was beautiful. The cinematography on that scene. Again, here we are again. We've one of my favorite scenes in all of the Star Wars movies. It just,
I always thought the First Order was really cool. They just never explained how it happened.
And maybe we get that explanation. Maybe they're playing the long game. Sure, whatever.
We will be. I think we will be.
Right.
Especially I think through like Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and some of these new shows. I think we will get that.
Right. But other than that, I mean, with this episode, it's kind of interesting to see how the Empire's kind of tying up these loose ends. And that was a point made on, I think it was AV somebody on one of the websites I was just kind of browsing through today. They kind of made a good point, which is another positive takeaway from this episode, is it's kind of seeing how the Empire is dealing with these like power vacuums and, like I said, loose ends, how they're smoothing things over and quieting the opposition, who we know is, Avi Singh.
Right. It's a no tolerance policy. You speak out, you're done.
Right. Which, again, very, very Third Reich-ish.
Yeah, not great. Honestly, other than that, I think some people are still saying that because of Omega's ability to just pick up this strategy game and her just natural ability and natural mindset and being able to win so many games in a row, people are still pointing to her being force sensitive, which
Oh
I
yeah.
think, and we'll get there in episode 9. I think it's just totally out the window at this point, right? Like, we know that she's the only other direct unaltered clone of Jango Fett. So
How?
what would make
How
her
would that
force
be
sensitive there?
right?
Now, she is a female, so maybe the Kaminoans were experimenting on, hey, can we get
Create a
midichlorians
Jedi?
this post? That's the only way.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll still have to find out. But that question does actually lead us into the entirety of episode 9, and what an awesome episode that was.
Cad Bane, man, I'll tell you what, I freaking love that guy.
Yeah.
And
And I know we talked about it when we did the bounty hunters, but since Jango Fett trained him and brought him up, in that fight scene between him and Fennec Shan, there were so many like Mandalorian type moves that he did. It was just so cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's not super fresh in my brain, but it was awesome to kind of see him with him and Omega's kind of chess game in and of itself, with
Mhm.
her trying to kind of convince him to let her go and her trying to escape. And
Right.
we got to see Omega again with her back against the wall and see what she's really capable of. Similar to how we did in episode 10 when she plays this, chess type game with Sid. We're seeing a lot of, how even though we're seeing that even though how young she is still an incredibly powerful and cerebral and smart character in the show.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely not someone to be underestimated. So I'll actually then, since you said it's not too fresh in your brain, I will just run over really the major plot points
Right.
that move you along. Omega breaks out of Cad Bane's ship. They land wherever he's supposed to drop her off, and we find out he's supposed to drop her off to the Kaminoans. The Kaminoans, the one volunteers to go pick her up. However, the Prime Minister says, no, you're way too personally attached to Omega, so you're going to stay here. They send someone else. Now, we hear Cad Bane and Omega are walking up the hallway. We hear a blaster shot. Boom, we find a dead Kaminoan. I'm not going to say their names because they're way too confusing. We find out it's Fennec Shand that killed them, and then her and Cad Bane have a huge fight for Omega. So at this point, we finally realize, okay, someone else hired Fennec Shand to
Right.
get Omega, and we know the Kaminoans hired Cad Bane to get her. Then, Fennec doesn't defeat Cad Bane, but she bests him in a battle, and she kind of gets away with Omega for a little bit. We find them in this really creepy cloning lab where we see the Kaminoans were practicing cloning on like either their own species or an other species as well. They're in these giant test tubes, very, very Captain America Civil War like, with the frozen winter soldiers in those tubes.
Right.
Also very, very Snoke like in the Rise of Skywalker when we see
That's
him
a
in the
good point.
tube.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a lot of similarities there. We see one fall out of the tube onto Fennec Shand, which was absolutely disgusting. Bad Batch rescues Omega, and then it kind of cuts away. Then we're back with Fennec Shand, and she says, hey, like, they got away. Same clones as before. And then we find out it's the other Kaminoan who hired her to keep her safe. So, and I love this, and I know you love this too for Fennec Shand, since this means she's not totally evil.
Right.
We love that for her. So this Kaminoan is trying to protect Omega. We don't know why yet, but now we know that Omega is the unaltered clone of Jango Fett, essentially Boba Fett's twin sister. Now she's significantly younger than him at this point, but she's still one of the only unaltered clones, which means her DNA is incredibly valuable. And that's why all these bounty hunters are after her.
Well,
so
and
a lot of really cool points there.
I think is it something way. All right, yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna try with names. I'll get roasted. But I think his protection over her is just protection of assets. It probably took a lot of time and resources to create Omega, and he probably thinks the best way to go about it is not to capture her and have her brought back forcefully. It is probably to his angle is probably to try to bring her back in a nice way and say, hey, we're not all that bad. I don't know. It
No, see, I don't think that is what it is at all, because he
Okay.
doesn't. Jack Hammond doesn't want Omega back at Camino because he knows that they're going to kill her. So he's paying Fennec Shan to keep her away from Camino, to not bring
Oh,
her back.
that's a good point.
So
I
it's
didn't really
kind of
think.
funny because Fennec Shan and the clones are trying to do the same thing.
Right. Huh.
Yeah, which maybe we'll find. Hey, here's hoping they team up, because that'd be sweet. But
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
Prime Minister wants Omega back, and he says when she gets back, you're going to terminate her. So we know that Fennec Shan's mission is to not bring her back to Camino.
Right. And
So
so
this is like a secret side mission.
I wonder why they want her dead so bad. Because I mean, she's got to be, she's one of the only, unaltered
Right. Well,
clones
they
in
said when she
ever.
gets back, run the tests, get the DNA, and
True.
then
So they'll
kill
probably
her.
just remake her.
Yeah.
But that brings into the point, if they remade her, wouldn't she just turn out the same? Always wanting to
Well,
get out.
so what they could do is alter the DNA. So this is an unaltered, to make her more obedient,
Oh,
like they did the actual clone troopers.
right. And I guess they don't really have any significant stakes in keeping her unaltered, I guess, at this point. You know what I mean? So,
Right. Other than her
um,
just abilities and
right.
being as like smart and witty, and being able to learn combat as good as Jango Fett. So
Badass.
really, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. So I should probably, I got to rewatch these episodes, man. Well, the last three, especially, when we had
The last three,
Crosshair
six
and
or 7, 8, 9 was an awesome arc.
it was just an info overload, man. It was just,
Hmm.
we're here, there, we're there. And,
Right. And
we
that's
hit,
why, again, I've said from the beginning, this should be a bingeable show.
I
I
have
really
that in
wish
my
they did.
notes.
I really wish they did like a 15 episode series and just did 5 episodes, 5 episodes, 5 episodes. Drop it like
Right.
once a month or something. Beginning of every month, 5 more episodes.
I agree. And I have that in
And
my
that
notes
way,
here.
because between each like really good arc, you get like filler episodes. So when you drop 555, your first two can be, filler slash setup, and then your next three are just way action packed story moving,
So
which
yeah,
obviously 7, 8, 9 were.
right. I think after this show's over, I think you and me should do a side kind of, hey, we just binged the whole thing from start to finish. Here's what we
Hmm.
think. We did this all in a matter of 2 days. Here's our big takeaways. And I
Right.
think I personally will come out of it, one, with way more information than I did, because I can tell you episodes, so we had what, 7, 8, 9 were the overloads, and then 5 and 6 kind of, we're still getting intros, and we're still kind of
Hmm.
figuring out who's who and what's going on and what's our main conflict and all this stuff. But I think
Right.
you watch those back to back to back, you get all that intro in a matter of 2 hours, and you're going, ah, okay. And then you hit 7, 8, 9, and it's like, holy shit. And then 10's like, okay, I needed a break there. And then, like you said, I think 11, 12, 13, and 14 are just going to be absolute powerhouses of episodes.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think, of course, like, I mean, I've literally been telling everyone from the start, like,
Right.
this is going to be a much better show if you just binge watch it instead of watching once a week when it releases, which obviously I'm going to do. I'm a huge fan, but I'm also going to, like you just said, sit down when it's all done and then
Hmm.
watch it all in 2 nights.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. And I think
as like a 2 or 3 part movie type thing.
yeah, and I'm not saying I necessarily have a bad opinion on the show. I just
Mhm.
don't know. I just don't know if I can form one.
Right. Well, and
It's hard.
there's also, we don't know if they're going to greenlight a season 2.
Right.
So what,
Right.
I guess it has to wait, when all the episodes are out, what story were they trying to tell from an overarching thing,
Hmm.
and then not episode to episode, and then we'll be able to sit down and look and say, okay, well, like, was the story well executed? And it
Right.
probably will be. It probably will be.
Agreed. I think, I think, yeah, once, I guess I'm saying the same thing as you, but yeah, once we're able to, just kind of all digest it all at once, then, it'll be much easier to digest, I would say.
Mhm.
Because it's hard with the short format. I mean, what are they, 26-minute episodes or something like that? So it's once a
Yep.
week. It's like
26 to 22 minutes.
I've forgotten
The
about it.
finale will probably be longer, or like the last two will probably be longer.
Exactly. And by the end of the episode, I've already forgot, I've kind of like, okay, that was such a small part of my day. By the time I go to bed, I can't even remember what happened,
Right.
So
Right.
it's, but however, 7, 8, 9 stuck out in my head. They did. I mean, those were episodes that kind of stuck with me and I was able to think about
Right. When I
afterwards.
think Bad Batch, I think they're in that Republic cruiser graveyard with Rex, with
So cool.
with Crosshair, with
Right.
Cad Bane. Exactly. Yeah, those just stick out.
So, and I guess we'll just have to see. Only time will tell, baby. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. And moving forward, so again, like I mentioned, all the trailer footage is done. So now I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a major cameo, and even
Okay.
a major cameo for 1 or 2 episodes. So there's always that to think about as well. Obviously, story-wise, it does make sense for Ahsoka to still show up. It'd be cool if Rex came back. I don't know if he will.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff.
Who's your favorite for a cameo right now?
Probably Ahsoka.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Probably
Yeah, that's where I
Ahsoka
was going.
and or Darth Maul.
And we haven't talked about that in a while. With our Bad Batch reviews, is
Right.
our definite desire, our shared desire for Darth Maul to show up at some point in the series, which it's still very possible.
Now, Logan,
go ahead.
Episode 11 is called "Deal with the Devil."
Who looks like the devil, baby?
Who looks like the devil? Are they going quite literal, or they're probably just saying, "Hey, here he is"? But
yeah,
no, hey, I want him to show up. I love him. Obviously, he shows up in every Star Wars side project ever. So why not just put him in this one too?
Why not another?
He's so integral to Clone Wars. It makes sense for him to show up.
Right, absolutely. And I don't want them to, as much as I don't want them to regurgitate the same formula. I'm still in with Darth Maul. He's both one of our shared favorite characters in the whole series. In the whole series of everything, and the whole cinematic universe. I think you and I can both agree he's probably one of the most badass villains there are, in movies, period. But
dude, how sweet would it be if he survived episode 1 somehow, and then in episode 2 they killed him off.
Right.
Killed him off, and then yeah.
So
my god, we didn't get enough of episode 1 version of him in live action.
No, absolutely not. I agree.
Which
with
I think
100%.
they know, and that's why they've made it up for us by including him so much in Clone Wars and in Rebels.
Because they're like, hey, we know he's a crowd favorite. Obviously, he's Darth Maul. He had such a huge impact with so little screen time. The first time they ever showed him in episode 1, it was like people went nuts over him. So it's only right that, like you said, they're putting him in and giving the fans what they wanted with him.
Yeah. I still, I don't know where exactly we're going. I think it would.
Uh-oh. Having a bit of technical difficulties, folks. We will wait a couple seconds till we get Tommy back. While I got you here, how we doing? Yeah. Good episode so far? I think so. Tommy. I might have to kick him and then bring him back. Uh-oh. We might have him back. Tommy. Hold on. There he is. Tommy, say something real quick.
Did I cut out?
Yep, you cut out, but you're back. And ladies and gentlemen, we have made contact with Tommy again. Here he is. I was keeping him entertained, keeping the crowd warm.
Thank you.
Continue with that thought.
Where did I cut out? Because
it
kind of started to freeze up, and I said, I'm just going to keep going in case they can still hear me. So I
Yeah, I
talked for a
don't
while.
remember where you cut out. It was frozen for so long.
It was basically all I was saying was that there's still so many questions to be answered, storylines to explore, cameos that might happen. But really, the biggest thing for me is wrapping up these questions. Where does
Yeah,
Camino go from here? Because we know from the comics and from the novels, it gets destroyed, which I actually said is a storyline that I've really been hoping to go with the whole time. The Siege of Camino. Obviously, it has Boba Fett in it, and we see the not only him but the Empire as well come in and just obliterate Camino in a battle, which is super cool. Um,
pretty cool.
yeah, so I mean, there's just a ton of storylines and questions to wrap up, and I am excited to see how they do it, and that really, really adds to the value of this series from a whole. This is one of those things, again, just stating what we said before. You can't judge this episode by episode. You need
No,
to wait for all of it to come out and break it up into story arcs. What did they tell? How well did they tell it? It's very different for Loki, where you have a 6 episode event and each episode is 45 minutes and each episode is insane.
a
So
literal
totally,
event.
totally different types of things, and you can go about, judging them differently.
Right,
So
and
I'm going to hold off like all like final total
right.
judgments until the end, until I have the full story arc. But yeah, I mean, pretty much like you said, 7, 8, 9, awesome story arc. 10, one of the more forgettable episodes.
And we had plenty of those with Clone Wars. If
Oh yeah,
you know, if the
absolutely.
looking back on it, I mean, all of our, all of the audience who watched Clone Wars. I mean, how many? Because I didn't. Oh man, I didn't start watching Clone Wars until I think like around 2 years ago. Is when I got into it, and then I obviously kept up with it once I caught completely up. But I remember
Right.
binging that show, and there were episodes where I can tell you right now, you didn't need to watch them. They
Oh
were
yeah,
pretty
absolutely. If you Google like most important Clone Wars episodes, it's a list of like 25 episodes of like a
exactly.
300, probably more episode show.
Well, and actually, I don't know who did this, but a long time ago when I was first decided to dive into Naruto, um, one of my buddies was like, "Hey, here's a filler list. It'll give you a list of every single episode that does not matter, and you can skip right through." And I'll tell you what, it made watching Naruto 1,000 times easier.
Yep.
So maybe
Yep. And
you and
those are
I.
available all over the
Oh,
internet if you
absolutely.
Google like any show, like what are
Oh
the most
yeah.
important episodes.
Well, even Breaking Bad. I mean, not to get out of our little nerd sphere. Even Breaking Bad had
Oh no, I
episodes
think we're
that.
very well in the sphere still.
Okay, cool. Breaking Bad had episodes that you know you could have gone without, and that I think that show episode or that show ended with like 80 episodes or something like that,
Right.
something less than that. So um, every show's got their little fillers, their little unnecessary kind of just content adding and character building,
Hmm.
and that's what that's good for.
Yeah.
Is we got Omega character building in episode 10, if
Yeah.
anything.
Exactly. Exactly. Can I say something though?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have been very openly on here being like, look, straight up, this episode 10 wasn't the greatest. It's definitely, I mean, we can definitely throw it into the filler bin,
Oh, absolutely.
uh, without a doubt. Why don't why don't the other YouTubers like acknowledge that? And I know we're not like big by any means, so
No,
obviously they have to like break everything down and draw out every little Easter egg and things like that. Where you and I, we can just kind of have a natural discussion about it. But
absolutely.
why can't they even just like say like, hey, like this was kind of a dump of an episode, but here's what's in it. They can at least like acknowledge it, and
Pe-
instead of being like, here's the 100 Easter eggs in episode 10 that you didn't see and why they're all important. It's like they're not though. They're
this
not.
is it's the same reason why people are afraid to dump on this on the sequels, because the community. I don't mean to shit on this the nerd community and
You're not
stuff
talking
like
about the
that.
newer nerd community. You're talking about the Star Wars
No, I'm
community.
talking about
Very
this
different.
in general, because if someone doesn't agree, and this is anymore, someone doesn't agree, then everybody else finds reason to take their side, and it's like it just becomes a big echo chamber of, you're not allowed to have this opinion. Here's what I thought. You're not allowed to speak poorly. It was Star Wars. You can't say anything bad about it. But, I am a
Right.
self-proclaimed hater of the sequels, even though, we catch me on this show all the time talking about shit I absolutely love
Yeah.
from those installments. But it's
Right.
just, it's, they're not for me. And so I think that a lot of these YouTubers are afraid of comments saying, oh, well, you can't say that, you're not allowed to criticize what I thought was cool. And, oh, but
Right.
didn't you see this? How did that not make the episode worth it for you? So, I mean, what is your spin on that?
Yeah. My spin is that I think more people should be watching our videos and listening to our podcast, because we're straight up real,
Absolutely.
just fans, just like you, who we don't like it. But, sometimes if I go on the internet and see 15 suggested videos about why episode 10 of Bad Batch was so good, I'm going to be like, okay, it was a good episode. I liked it. Even though when I watched it, I didn't like it. But that's what we're going to do here. Like, we're going to say, like, hey, like, we just straight up didn't like this episode. And
Honest and
sometimes
open dialogue.
we obviously like disagree on points and stuff like that, and we talk about that too. I mean, we're just real straight up. This is some basement talk right here.
Absolutely.
Just
The boys.
two nerds at the lunch table, where if one of you is sick for a day, the other one is absolutely miserable at lunch. Just chatting it up.
I did. Wow. You just brought back so many memories, because, I used to love talking about Marvel stuff and Marvel movies at lunch, and, no one else could talk about it with me. So, I'm glad I found you and someone I can kind of nerd out with. But all of my friends were into, sports and stuff, which we are. You and I are still pretty avid sports fans. You're a huge Browns fan. I like another football team that will not be named.
I mean, I'm about to go watch the NBA Finals after this.
Oh, that is tonight. That's right. I don't like basketball. Self-proclaimed hater of basketball. A lot of people are talking about it. Logan doesn't like basketball. It happens. If I had to pick a favorite team, it would be LeBron James. Just whatever he does, I'm cool with. I do like that Devin Booker kid on the Suns.
Oh, that kid.
I like that kid. Yeah, he's got a lot of heart. Trae Young seems like a real hateable guy, but I'm in. Whatever.
But we love that. We love villains on this podcast.
Absolutely, we are. Big time.
This is a big villain podcast.
Oh, absolutely, we're villains ourselves.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to be menaces to society. You and I do. But yeah. I other than that, I don't know. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, I'd probably just say, honestly, just straight up, we're going to give you our raw, real, honest opinions on it. We're not going to position ourselves as like, hey, this content was amazing by Star Wars or Marvel or whatever it is that we're talking about at that time. If I don't like it, I'm going to tell you that I don't like it. Like, I think it was very clear that I just didn't like this episode this week. I was bored watching it. I think I literally fell asleep watching it for the first time. I was also watching it at 3:30 in the morning on Saturday night, but that's not the point. But yeah, so I mean, you're just always going to get authentic opinions and conversation here. And I think that's might be a little lackluster in these breakdown videos that people post. I don't think, a lot of people do it alone, so they don't get the back and forth. They don't get that natural conversation. And you and I don't talk about them at all before we do this. We come on here. We don't know what you're going to say. You don't know what I'm going to say. And I think that makes it really fun. And it brings up a lot of really natural points and natural questions that people want to talk about. So,
well, you've changed
just listen
my
to
opinion.
Us, subscribe to us and listen to us, because we're going to keep it real.
You've changed my opinion several times on this show, and I do appreciate it about you. And that's one thing that I wish a lot of people could do, is just kind of admit and go, oh, okay, I thought one way, now I think, I think a different way. And that could, in every aspect of life, people could really benefit from doing that every now and again. And instead of, we live in a generation of people who just want to die on hills, and,
wow, you're getting meta on us, huh?
Yeah, I'm getting super meta on you, but no, and I think we see it a lot in, Star Wars and Marvel, is people who will, you know, not budge on their opinions, and and you are entitled.
Right.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but all I'm saying is maybe be open to a change of opinion sometimes. That's what you and I,
Hmm.
I think try to bring to the table with this show, is we want to maybe change some people's opinions, whether we sway it negative or positive. So,
Yeah.
we're always gonna give you how we feel. We're not gonna just say everything was great and
I will
dandy.
not cater my opinion to the machine of YouTube.
Absolutely, we're sticking it to the man here in this podcast. We drink apple juice, baby.
Oh, I'm gonna get
Absolutely.
no views because we said that.
I know. That's all right. We don't do this for views. We do this, because we like to see each
Love of the
other's
game, baby.
faces. Love of the fucking game, baby. But yeah, okay, so I will go ahead and close us out then with this episode. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate all of you coming out, hanging out with us for an hour. We hope to carve an hour out of your day or so, just listening to us talk. But we would like for you to talk back to us. So comment, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell us what you think of our top 5. Give us your own top 5. Tell us if you think we're right or wrong about this latest episode of Bad Batch, and the last 4. I guess we'll lump them all in together, but obviously we
Yeah.
know the 3 stands out from the other. But tell us if we're right. Tell us if we're wrong. Let us know what you think. Give us a reason to change our opinion. Like I said, I'll change my opinion. So hit us on YouTube, New Era Nerds Pod. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram, New Era Nerds Pod, and on TikTok, New_Era_Nerds, where Tommy posts the freshest content on TikTok. He's starting to get into the Instagram Reels sphere. So hit us up over there. Tommy's the wizard of content. Loves it. He eats, sleeps, and breathes content. So hit him up over there. Come
I
talk to
lose
us.
sleep because of the lack of content that I post.
So yeah, no, come hang out with us over there on the socials. And without further ado, I will go ahead and end this one. Love you, Tommy.
Love you too.